Chefs of Reddit, what are some red flags people should look out for when they go out to eat? Not a chef, but my best friend is, and he says a large menu. Chances are a lot of things on a menu means that they are frozen. Also, it's difficult to train people to be good at making 40 different things, so the quality is going to suffer. If there's a funky smell that's even slightly, or stronger, you're in like, the restaurant probably has a rodent problem. Best to leave. Yup. Worked at a steakhouse that served incredible amazing food. Customers always complained about a funny smell. The steakhouse was, technically still is, attached to a mall that had a rodent problem. It's like living in a duplex and the one next to you has bedbugs. You're gonna get them because they're in the walls. All you can do is tear down the building or move. I saw rats often, and a handful of times they snuck out into the dining room and we had to quickly cover it up. The final straw for me was seeing the sous chef kill a rat with a big metal rod. I couldn't do it anymore. It's a shame because it's one of the cleanest restaurants I've ever worked at, in terms of dating and rotating food, good cross-contamination practices, etc. But they were just in the wrong spot. The mall has closed down because of the rat problem, and the steakhouse is dying too because now it's common knowledge amongst locals. It's really a shame because it's not even something they can control entirely, just manage. Former barista and assistant manager here, if the restaurant has a coffee machine visible, take a look at the steamer. If it's covered in white, means they don't clean after frothing the milk. Most likely they don't run steam after heating up the milk, meaning that there is residual milk inside the nozzle of the steamer, which gets burned and generates bacteria. Don't order coffee in there. Also, most likely the cloth used to clean the steamer from time to time is disgusting and used for more than just wiping the milk out of it. A restaurant with a good philosophy about health and safety cleans the coffee machine every night. In addition to a super large, diverse menu being a huge red flag that you're getting frozen meals run through the microwave, watch for no substitutions. If the place makes its own food, they can sub virtually anything for anything else. While they may try to play it up as our food is perfect and we refuse to change it on moral grounds, it's almost always a sign of this was made 2 months ago and all we do is reheat it. I was employed by a national pest control service, and the salespeople told me if the dining room is dirty or gross, do yourself a favor and walk out, cause their kitchen is gonna be much dirtier. There are also roaches at expensive restaurants, the same as there are at cheaper places. It's the restaurants that don't clean kitchens properly, that attract pests and have continual problems. Read Anthony Bourdain's book. He runs down a bunch. Brunch is just using up leftovers from the rush of the weekend. Generally worse quality food. Smaller menu is better. Mondays and Thursdays are typical new inventory days. Eat these days for freshest food. Only order shellfish from a shellfish restaurant. Know what a restaurant does well, and order that. Ask where your oysters come from. If they don't know, you don't want them. Works for most seafood. If the head chef is crying and not wearing any clothes, it's probably best to move on. Late to this one, but as an ex-waiter I can't stand seeing waiting staff grabbing clean glasses at the top when handling them. A green flag is an open kitchen where you can see everything getting cooked. There's an open kitchen diner where I live and the food is killer. Not a chef, but worked at a KFC for a while, so here's a KFC specific thing. There are 2 towel colors for cleaning use at KFC franchises, at least in American ones, no idea about others. There are yellow towels, which are intended for surfaces that cooked foods will touch, and blue towels, which are only to be used in raw chicken areas. This is to prevent cross-contamination. Cooked chicken never touches raw chicken areas, and cooked and raw areas are never cleaned with the same towels. The thing to look out for? Raw chicken areas are usually not visible from the front counter, at least in most locations I've seen. If you see a blue towel, don't eat there. Now this isn't a hard and fast rule. I would recommend asking the cashier about it if you see anything suspicious. When I went to Europe, a KFC location in Amsterdam had blue towels and cleaning solution on top of all the trash cans in the lobby. They weren't for raw chicken, they just had a different cleaning procedure there. I went to an IHOP, and there were ants crawling on the walls, so I told the waitress about it, and she said what? Again? She could have covered that up in a better way. I was really hungry, so I just moved to another table, but those pancakes were so nasty. I still love IHOP, but I just won't go to that one next time. Not a chef, and more a green flag. If you're eating ethnic food and all the customers are of the ethnicity in question, then the food is probably going to be freaking awesome. Actual former chef here. These comments saying, don't eat whatever food on a day of week, because it's leftovers. This is called utilization. Specials are just that. Things that we'd rather sell than throw out. Those of us who actually know what we're doing, carefully cool down and store things so they have as much menu life as possible. Only an idiot would throw away perfectly good, saleable food if it didn't sell on the first night. Salt shaker. If the holes are clogged and the top is dirty, that thing has been refilled 100 times without washing. Asked my mom, who was a chef for 30 years. This is what she told me: you're better off sticking to restaurants you know are good if you can. Find a place you know is doing things right and give them your business. But if you need to find a new place, like if you just move cities or something, order a food you know pretty well. For me, that's always the soups. Mom did soups for a good chunk of her time as a chef. If it's something you know really well, then you'll know if it's good or not. And if they do that well, then the rest of the food should probably be alright too. But if something is wrong with your order, like it's too salty or undercooked or whatever, then there's something wrong with the restaurant. She also said that while a low price isn't indicative of a terrible restaurant, be wary of places that price too high or low for the type of food they serve. A burger place shouldn't cost you more than $15 for a meal, and even that's being generous. And if your fine dining experience is running less than $10 a plate, something is wrong. Not a chef but a huge menu probably means you're eating out the freezer. Too many menu choices. Dirty restroom. Server staff seems more anxious. You might have to be a chef to recognize this, but my red flag is going into a busy restaurant and noticing none of the tables have food, or not many customers are yet eating. This usually means the kitchen is going down in flames. One time I noticed this and could see some food slowly stacking up in the window, but no orders coming out. I mentioned it to the server and he replied, I wouldn't suggest ordering food. He brought our drink check and we left. He was tipped well for his honesty. Rats in the restaurant cooking food. I saw a movie about that once.